The R32 Nissan Skyline Geeter is indeed one of the most iconic Japanese sports cars of all time.
Run! It's Godzilla!
After a 16-year gap of the disappearance of the Nissan Geeter name, Nissan finally made a new car technically called the R32, or just R32 as everyone calls it. What appears to be a simple two-door sports car is actually a monster ready to destroy your ego. And this car no doubt left a legendary legacy and history involving the success in racing and tuner pop culture. And the R32 was one of the stepping stones for Nissan's bright future. After that, we got other legendary cars like the Silvias, 240 and 180 SXs, the 300ZX, the Pulsar GTI-R, future generations of the Geeter, and the Saurus Jr. Now, the history of the R32 Geeter is quite interesting, and it's definitely something that we should be grateful for. Japan in the 1980s, the country was experiencing an economic boom. Despite the Japanese yen not being a very strong currency, everyone was having a goddamn blast in the Far East. People were working hard and partying hard, and Japan was manufacturing electronics, cars, motorcycles, and home appliances like there was no tomorrow. But then there's Nissan. They made boring, boxy, square cars that no one gave a rat's ass about, and people were flocking to other brands. But in the world of racing, the R30 Super Silhouette Skyline was indeed a rather successful machine. But the R30 and R31's performance in Group A racing was and the executives at Nissan had an emergency meeting on what they were gonna do for the future of the company. Mr. Naganori-san, we are in serious trouble with our asses getting handed to by Ford and BMW. You're goddamn right about that. Our sales and profits are at an all-time low, and our current Skylines aren't competitive against other cars. What should we do, sir? Fear not, my young intern. I know exactly what to do. And so, Mr. Naganori hopped onto automation and got to work on a new Nissan Skyline.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
And after hours upon hours of designing and engineering redos, Nissan delivered to the world the base model R32 Skylines. Labeled under the GTS badge, they came either as a coupe or a sedan, powered with either the turbo or the non-turbo 2-liter straight-six RB20 in rear-wheel drive. And also there's the GTS 4, the basic Skyline but in all-wheel drive. But just a few months later, Nissan would bring in the ultimate R32 trim model, the Geeter. And the Geeter is powered with the very famous 2.6-liter twin-turbo straight-six called the RB26 DE Titties, bringing 316 horsepower. But because of the Japanese gentleman's agreement, Nissan wrote down 276 in the brochure.
See, no penalty, nothing serious.
And one very interesting feature about this car is, unlike the previous Skyline entries, the R32 Geeter is fitted with the state-of-the-art all-wheel drive system called the AUSSIES ETS. What is it, you ask? The AUSSIES ETS is a heavily computerized all-wheel drive system that isn't really all-wheel drive actually. It's more designed to be a rear-wheel drive car on training wheels. When traction in one of the rear tires is lost, the computer automatically readjusts power to the front to maintain traction. So when you're driving along just fine and dandy, the car is putting most of the power in the rear tires. But once traction is lost, because you decided to drive like a jackass, the AUSSIES system is like, I got you, hombre, and sends more power to the front tires, so you can countersteer in style. And how was the AUSSIES system created? Well, it was inspired by the Porsche 959's all-wheel drive system. That's right, the hard-working folks at Nissan got a hold of a Porsche 959, then shredded it to bits.
Good grief, he's naked!
Then they reverse engineered it and made a prototype mid-engined sports car called the Mid 4. But unfortunately, it didn't really get to see the light of production. But it was still one of the stepping stones for the AUSSIES system in the R32. And now it's time for the Geeter to hit the motorsport scene. The car is well known for its overwhelming success in Group A racing. Nissan's most iconic car is back in the victory spots, and rival brands struggled to keep up with the R32. The Mark III Toyota Supra being one of the victims. Honda drivers pissed their pants and screamed for mommy with the R32's presence. Ford Sierra Aussies couldn't keep up, and Toyota Corollas hid in the back of the room and cried itself to sleep. And then later on in the early 90s, every racing team figured that they should probably switch to Nissan, and every car that's in the front of the pack was an R32 Geeter. And once the R32 dominated everything in its home country, it's time for the R32 to head to Australia.
Cocky! I'm cocky!
And as expected, the R32 whooped the Aussies' asses 6 ways to Sunday. With the ear-rape screaming RB motor and fire erupting from the exhaust, the R32 Geeter would later get the nickname Godzilla. The Geeter was so good, Australia banned the car from even participating in races. But then in 1995, the R32 would soon be replaced by the R33 model. But even during and after the production of the R32, there would be special tuner versions of the car, like the basic Nismo trim from 1990, the track-based N1 from 1991, the Nismo S-Tune from 92, the Tommy Kyra M20 and M30s, the Tommy Kyra R, and the HKS 0R. Then of course the car would appear in the entertainment industry. In Initial D's Nuts, Nakazato had a black R32. And in Fifth Stage, a psychotic hippie drives a tricked out gun gray R32. And in Wangan Midnight, Reina Akikawa drives another gun gray R32, which later turned white. And also some deadbeat dad character drives a white R32. And a red R32 gets fucking trashed. But even after 36 years, the Nissan Skyline R32 Geeter is still known as one of the most competitive, successful, and iconic Japanese sports cars of all time. But the biggest question is it that competitive of a car for toge racing? Well, let's put that to the test.
A few moments later.
Holy milk biscuits! Who knew that Japanese cars could handle this good? This R32 handles 40 times better than my old Challenger.
Shut your pie hole, Tanner. We all know the Starion is the best Japanese car out there.
We'll see about that, numbnuts. Get ready for Tannerzilla to fart in your face.
See, unlike Johnny Teabag that needs Arby's to power his dumbass Nissan Sentra, all I need is a simple 4-banger with a small turbo.
Careful, Jones! I'm coming right behind you! Pause. Come on, little Jeter. Don't let me down now. All right, Jones, get ready to get super slammed.
Oh, damn, man!
Well, better luck next time, Jones. Hopefully you'll become a better driver than me one day.